Hello and welcome to this analysis of the Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City game in the Women's Super League. We're going to have a look at Tottenham's deep build-up and how it broke down, as well as how they adjusted their left-back starting position to improve their attack. And for Manchester City, we're going to have a look at how they inverted their left-back versus the Tottenham press, as well as also their right-hand side tilt and the movement of their forward. With that, let's get into it. Okay, so Tottenham built up in a 2-4 or a 2-3. I say 2-3 because garnered James could start higher up, and later in the game she actually moves into a left back position, allowing Ali to push higher up. This was against a 4-1-3-2 from Manchester City, with Castellanos being that second centre forward. And here Manchester City want to try and push Tottenham out into that wide space, and then with Coombs tracking the likes of James in here, they can force a turnover by the touchline. Even before Brazil was subbed off due to her injury, this kind of pass by James was something that Tottenham love to do. They love to try and hit their forward early. Given this style of play, Tottenham would then look to try and counter press. To Tottenham's benefit, when the likes of Brazil or Naz were pressing, the Manchester City defence as a whole and goalkeeper were extremely relaxed, which allowed the Tottenham press to get very close and so allowed Tottenham to be able to regain in Manchester City's defensive third. Okay, so we see the rest of the Tottenham midfield looking to support Naz in her press. Spence looking here to try and cover the pass into Hasegawa, the holding midfielder. But this distance is what I'm talking about how close the Tottenham forwards could get to the ball. And so we see how that distance is even smaller now, and so Neville's actually able to get her foot in, and she was especially good at this. She was helped by the fact that Tottenham's 4-4-2 press, when Manchester City passed it out to their left-hand side, she would try and get close to Alexandri and narrow the Tottenham press. So on regaining possession, Neville tries to rush up this left-hand side and combine here with Spence, and then we've got other forwards from Tottenham trying to get into the box. Unfortunately, Neville wasn't able to combine with Spence, and so Manchester City able to get the ball into Hasegawa, but Neville doesn't give up and she's able to win the ball back again. But again, Neville loses the ball in trying to link with Spence. Part of the reason for this is just how Tottenham players position. It's somewhat of, I call it a passing IQ problem, where they're not making enough movement or providing good positions to facilitate passing and receiving of the ball. The knock-on from this being that they're requiring higher and higher levels of technical ability during their counter-attacks because of where people position, and we'll see an example later. Eventually, the ball ends up here with Nas, and she's able to try and cross it back here to the only player that Tottenham have in the box, in Bizet. So in the 33rd minute, we have Manchester City in possession in somewhat of a 2-3 shape. We have Morgan, the Manchester City left-back, inverting to more of like left-centre defensive midfield position, but we've got the right-back pushing very high up on this right-hand side, with Coombs staying deeper, whereas Castellanos would push higher. Here, Kasparai and Kelly shared this right midfield duty, so they were both looking to try and attack this space. And then due to the width provided by these two players, Ali was drawn out and away from her centre-back partner, creating a space for the likes of Castellanos to exploit. And so we see her here trying to exploit that space. Eventually, Neville clears the ball. Because James had to follow Castellanos into the half space, that drew Spence, pun intended, deeper to try and help Suminen defend the midfield. Hasegawa, who picks up the loose clearance, tries to push higher up as Manchester City's possession pushes into Tottenham's half. This allows her to be an option for a pullback on the edge of the box, as well as also an option to recycle play and support Manchester City if they have to counter press. See also the left back, Morgan, who's inverted into this left CDM position, again to help with the counter press, as well as also draw Bizet inside, creating more space for the left winger if Manchester City want to switch the ball out there. Okay, so now we see Bizet looking to try and put pressure on her opposite number in Morgan. We've got Hemp dropping in case for the switch. Khadija Shaw drops to link play, and with her Zadorsky tracks her. Because Zadorsky tracks, that leaves this huge space centrally, and so the rest of the Tottenham defence have to narrow. This then creates more space in those wide areas for Manchester City to be able to play out into the wide midfield as a fullback. Unfortunately for Manchester City, Kelly loses possession, and Tottenham looked to try and set up for a counter-attack with Ali passing into Neville. This is your centre forward and this is your cam. And so this is what I was referencing earlier, where the positioning of your teammates for Tottenham makes the counter-attack, as well as also just deep build-up, difficult. The only real options here are James and Naz. So there's no real centre forward. Yes, Drew Spence is trying to go up, but she will be the only option for a long ball. All the rest of these players are not options. And so eventually Zadorsky is forced into playing a long ball and giving your centre forward is here. Manchester City easily win back possession. Okay, so we're having a look at Tottenham build up again, but with the adjustment. So again, we've got our 2-3. We've got Sumanen as that holding midfielder. We've got Drew Spence dropping, kind of playing that role that Angarad James was playing earlier, just higher than Sumanen. And James is here in the left back position, and our left back Ali is pushing higher up. This was nice because it showed an appreciation for the different characteristics of the players. So Ali being relatively mobile, full back, moving her higher up the pitch, she can contest second balls, but also she's a good runner, so that will provide another option. And so Angarad James's ball for Naz in this left-hand side channel is a successful one, and now we can see Ali, our left back, providing that extra support, taking the attention of Alexandri, and also freeing up Neville here on this left-hand side. And so Neville eventually ends up with the ball, and we've got an overload here in this left-hand space. We've got Drew Spence following up the play. We've got Bizet, our right midfielder, coming narrow into the box to potentially threaten if there is a cross, and Alexandri is pinned by our fullback. So Naz receives the ball in this left-hand space, and they look to try and combine amongst the three of them. Unfortunately, Naz's pass, while safe into Neville, allows Manchester City's players to constrict the space, and with Ali not anticipating this pass by Neville, and the play breaks down. And then unfortunately, to compound that, Neville presses, but without considering the options in behind her, and so Hasegawa is able to easily bypass her, and Manchester City are able to start a counter-attack. Fortunately for Tottenham, the second stage of their counter-press here in James is able to come across and stop Kelly. Okay, so our Manchester City 3-2 or 2-3 shape here, the left back is inverted again, but she's a lot deeper. Tottenham aren't really set up, so there's an easy pass into Hasegawa. Fowler, who came on late for Khadija Shaw, drops similar to how Khadija did. Again, the centre-backs tracking this movement and the rest of the defence having to narrow off it, allowing Manchester City to switch it out into the wide space and create a potential 1v1 here. And just like they did throughout the game, the wide midfielders in Hemp and Kelly were extremely direct and very difficult to stop once they got in their flow. We see that here. With that, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, please give it a like, share it on social media, maybe subscribe. If you enjoy our WSL analysis, consider checking out our WSL playlist, alternatively our UEFA Women's Champions League playlist. And with that,